Finally, as promised, we're going to zoom in on some anatomy of the upper limb in particular. In this video, we're going to go over the bones fairly quickly, starting proximally and working our way distally. First up, we have two bones that make up the pectoral girdle. The first one is the clavicle, sometimes called outside of anatomy, the collarbone. That's anterior, and then posteriorly, we have the scapula, sometimes called the shoulder blade. These bones articulate with each other laterally, forming the AC joint, the acromioclavicular joint. More on that later. Once we go to our next bone, we move into the brachial region, or the region of the anatomical arm. There's only one bone here, and you've probably heard of it before. It's the humerus. It's a big, strong bone, not often broken, pretty up to the task. Proximally, the humerus articulates with the scapula. It's that ball and socket joint that gives us that huge range of motion that our shoulder has. Distally, it articulates with two bones, the two bones of our forearm. The first bone of our forearm is medial. This is called the ulna. The ulna is wider, slightly stronger proximally, and then distally, it's slightly smaller. When it articulates with the humerus, it forms the main joint in our elbow, the humero-ulnar joint. It's responsible for that flexion and extension we see at the elbow. The other bone of the forearm, the radius, it also articulates with the humerus, but its main role is distally in the forearm. Distally, it's a little bit bigger, and then also it forms the articulation with our hand, the carpal bones, the radiocarpal joint, our wrist. So in the hand, things get a lot more complicated. Until we get to the hand, we've only got 5 bones, not too hard. But then we have another 27. That's right, 27. But don't worry, it's not as hard as what you first might think. The first 8 bones are often referred to as the carpal bones. They make up the proximal region of our palm. They're in 2 rows of 4, and the one we want you to know the specific name of is the scaphoid. Moving distally from the carpals, we have the bones that make up the rest of our palm, the metacarpals. The metacarpals are just called the first metacarpal, second metacarpal, third, fourth, and fifth. And they're named depending on their digit that they give rise to. So we don't call them fingers anymore, we now call them digits. So we name the digits 1 through to 5. So the first metacarpal would be in the palm of your hand, and it's going to be beneath the thumb. Distal to the metacarpals, we go into the digits themselves. The bones there are called the phalanges. Phalanx if you're talking about just one of them. We have 14 phalanges, 3 in each of our fingers, and then only 2 in the thumb. So there we have 14 phalanges. There you have it. Just a quick rundown from proximal distal, the bones that make up our upper limb, part of that appendicular skeleton.